when I work with clients one-on-one, before we even come up with a strategy, it's like, what are people looking for when they come to your site? What do they love about you? What kind of outcomes can they expect? And like pushing that stuff to like the welcome sequence means like they're going to have that experience sooner.
Hey, my feel good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I am so excited to share today's guest as per usual with this podcast. But especially today, we get to chat about email marketing, which is not something that we chat about often on this podcast, but it is very, very important to think about starting to grow an email list, if only just because literally lately Instagram has been permanently and temporarily disabling people's accounts. Especially I have heard it firsthand from several people in my circle, right? So I do think it is important to always think about, not putting all of your eggs necessarily into the social media basket and just expanding the way you can reach your ideal people, right? So today we are going to chat with Allea. She is an email marketing expert, and we are focusing specifically on welcome and nurturing sequences, which is super cool, right? Because a lot of times when you hear people talking about starting your email list, growing your email list, all those different things, you will hear people talking about the lead generation part of it, right? But not very many people talk as much about what you do once you get people on your list and how to welcome them into your community and nurture them, right? So that is what we are going to be chatting about with Allea today. It is such a great conversation, and we get super nitty gritty with the details. Allea dishes up so many tips. So this is definitely an episode that you're going to want to go grab a pen and paper to maybe jot down some notes on. And luckily, Feel Good Social Clubbers, if you are listening to this episode at a time when it is recently been released, right? Allea is actually going to come into the Feel Good Social Club and do a guest expert Q&A inside the club, which I know y'all will be excited about. So if you're not a member of the Feel Good Social Club quite yet, definitely check that out. It's feelgoodsocial.com/club. And if you join soon, you may just be able to attend Allea's guest expert Q&A session inside the club on April 7th of 2023. So that is super exciting and coming up. But anyway, before I get off on all the tangents, let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. It's going to be such a great conversation, my friend. Hey, friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Real quick, have I invited you to join the Feel Good Social Club yet? Oh man, my friend, I would love for you to check out our new monthly membership for down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are ready to create content with ease, actually show up and strategically market your business online every month, and also make friends with rad down-to-earth entrepreneurs who are just like you, who get it, who are in the posting trenches with you, and who are ever ready to give you a friendly air high five or kick in the accountability whenever you need it. The Feel Good Social Club is where it is at. Check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. In the club, we have a content library full of Canva templates and tutorials and resources to help you make content creation as easy as possible. We also have monthly content planning workshops where we all come together and talk about the upcoming month's strategy for our content. And we also have community forums where you can get together, ask questions of other club members, brainstorm ideas, ask for feedback. So definitely check it out, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Our Feel Good members are seriously some of the most amazing people that I have ever met. And I would love for you to join us, feelgoodsocial.com/club. Check it out. Join today. We would love to see you in there, my friend. All right, let's dive back into today's episode. Hi, Allie. Thank you so much for coming on the Feel Good Social podcast, lady. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Hi, Kins. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. Well, I already introduced you a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve?
Yeah, so I'm Allea Grummert. I'm an email marketing strategist and conversion copywriter. I work with bloggers and content creators to create welcome and nurture sequences through email to help them better connect and engage with their subscribers and boost conversions for sales and site traffic.
Yeah. Oh man. And I love it so much. And guys, Allie and I met at Podfest. So this is another Podfest friend that we're bringing on the show. And she is just so knowledgeable and your energy is just so enthusiastic and excitable, I guess, when it comes to email marketing, which I'm so down for because I feel like a lot of people drag their feet when it comes to having to write emails and having to show up and nurture people on emails and stuff. But anyway, we'll get into all that. I do like to start the interviews by asking just a little bit about how did you get started in business and doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so I used to work in video production. And while I was there, I also, I've always had this knack for budgeting. I know that's probably not what you were expecting to hear. Ooh, budgeting. But while I was at my full-time job, I started a blog about budgeting and personal finance. And yeah, my degree I have 2 degrees, one in advertising and PR and one in history. And so I just kind of loved having this little online world. I joked that it was my digital playground, quote unquote, digital playground. So I was learning about SEO. I was learning about how to build a website on Squarespace, learning how to write blog content. Oh man, I watched so many YouTube videos, so many tutorials while making dinner. And my roommates are like, why are you learning about tax exemptions for small businesses? Like you are not a small business. I was like, someday I might need this information. And I was just like, taking in all this information. And and I just hit a point where I was at my job for over 5 years. And I joked that I listened to one too many podcasts about how like you could start your own business. And I was like, oh, I guess I gotta try. Like, let's go for it. Let's see what I'm capable of. And so I did. And I went part-time at my job and built out Duett. And email marketing really rose to the top because a lot of people had questions about it. And even a friend of mine had an agency at the time, and she said she would just take on clients with email marketing questions, knowing that I could help her and I could help them. And so it was one of those things where like, when you just keep doing the thing that you enjoy doing and people recognize you for that, it kind of crops up to the top of like, okay, this is what I should focus on. And then I focus on it specifically for bloggers and content creators because that's a world that I really understand. Yeah. And I came into it wanting to help bloggers better connect with their readers, but also like, as a reader, if you join a blog's website, there's so much that you as a creator can like present to them in an order that makes sense. Like with blogging, you're not going to just start hitting them with like investing or budgeting or money management. You don't just hit them with like investing content. It's like, hey, you need to know how much you have. You need to know the difference between wants and needs. Like there's like a sequence to teaching that content. And that's what I really wanted to help people hone in on. And now largely I also work with food bloggers, which is a different type of content. So yada, yada. That's how I got to where I am.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I'm big on the tech side of things, like knowing about how all the different platforms work and how that can impact your strategy. But yeah, also doing audience research and learning about people and what they want and creating a strategy around that and writing the emails that will actually engage them. So but yeah, that's what I do all of the time. It's just email marketing. And I love it.
I love it. I cannot wait to geek out with you about it. And also I just realized, girl, we should bring you into the Feel Good Social Club to do like a little presentation or something, because we were literally just working on creating lead magnets for our email list and all that different stuff. And we're talking about all the different softwares. So yeah, we need all of this information.
Yeah, bring me in. Put me in, coach. I love that stuff.
Okay. Let's like kind of start out with a little bit of the basics, maybe when it comes to email sequences and okay, you got people onto your email list. Like now what? Like where do you start with your clients when it comes to creating and developing that welcome sequence and whatnot?
Yeah. So a welcome sequence can really, people have different names for it, like an autoresponder series or whatever, but it's basically like your first impression with your subscriber. So it's the first 1 to 5 emails they might get from you that really introduce you and what you have for them, but also why it matters to them. And for them to know that, yes, this is the place I need to be. wow, that's all very ethereal. Let me break that down to make it more practical. But basically, if somebody joins your email list and you're like, I create recipes that help people who have gluten intolerances feel more confident in the kitchen. And somebody with a gluten intolerance is like, oh, that's me. Yes. And I want that. Like they're going to stick around. So you're introducing yourself in that way and just showing like what kind of content they can expect from you. During a welcome sequence, like I said, it could be 1 email, it could be 5 emails. So in there, you could tell them about a cookbook you have. You can tell them about top YouTube videos that people love. Share your top recipes, the ones that are like foolproof. Everyone will love this. Like, think of how much confidence that gives a new subscriber who's just joined your email list, who's like, man, I'm really killing it on Rebecca's cookies. Like, oh yeah. And like Rebecca's making me feel like a rock star with these gluten-free cookies or whatever. And so you're more likely to open future emails. You're more likely to reply or feel like you, the creator, the blogger. So that's really what the welcome sequence is intended to do. You can use this time to segment your list. Like maybe you have brand new bakers or you have more seasoned bakers. Or people who like want to learn more about baking cakes versus cookies. Like this is your time to kind of ask those questions and give people more of what they want.
Oh yeah. I love that. Like, so hit people right away, right when they're joining your email list with like the most important and like the best information kind of thing, just to
Absolutely.
really establish that trust from the beginning.
Yeah. The way that I like to think about it is that no matter how someone joins your list, they need to know who you are and what you're going to do for them. So you could have 8 different lead magnets, but think about like if you had to write one welcome sequence that tied all those things in together, it's really a whole branding experience. Because if you can't explain what you do and why it matters across the board, like then that requires some massaging, if you will, like really like get down to the nitty gritty of what people can expect from you as a whole brand. And then that welcome sequence also, like, if you think about it, is an extension of you on Instagram. It's an extension of your website. It's an extension of your content. And I would say it's a summary of that. Like, explain it all in one place. And then you, having written that down, are going to be like, oh, these are the people I serve. This is the content I put out. This is what they can expect from me. It makes it easier for you as a content creator to actually send out your content. If that makes sense.
Oh, I love that. Oh, girl, we're about to get nerdy.
Good.
Going to. Because, okay, yes, I love that you're approaching it from like that messaging perspective too. And exactly, it's like, okay, hit them with the most important, the hottest information about your brand, who you are, what you do. You want to be very, very clear with that messaging and stuff. And I love it too. I've been kind of developing this. So a lot of my audience, when it comes to social media marketing and stuff, they're not really trying to be content creators or influencers, you know, like a lot of my people are the small business owners who just want to show up consistently, who want to show Instagram that the light is on in their business, you know? Yeah. And so I've been developing kind of this like essential posts strategy where it's like, okay, create your 12 essential posts, the most important, helpful information about your business, and have those on your docket. And then you can create content around it. Right. And that's kind of how I see this email welcome sequence working too.
Yeah. So, and this is where I mentioned audience research. I say that sly, like we're about to get real nerdy. Like, I mentioned that.
It's so important, guys.
It's so important. Well, because so many clients come to me and they go, I don't even know who my audience is. Like I'm just pushing out content and I just like hope it's landing and I have no idea. Whereas audience research does so many things, but one of the cool things that when I work with clients one-on-one, before we even come up with a strategy, it's like, what are people looking for when they come to your site? What do they love about you? What kind of outcomes can they expect? And like pushing that stuff to like the welcome sequence means like they're going to have that experience sooner, right? Like I learned these wonderful tips and tricks about meal planning. Great. If that's one of your most popular posts and you know it's what people want and love, put that in the welcome sequence. People are going to be like, I love you forever. Thank you so much. Like you're nipping it sooner than later and they're not just like having to wait around 2 years to feel like they've got that full content. And so what's cool is that as a creator, how many times I've like worked with clients who are like, oh, how do I not have a blog post about that? Like, how do I not? And so doing the research kind of helps you figure out like, what are those content pillars? What are those things that I can make sure I'm talking about regularly? Like whether it's through your regular newsletters or the types of content you're creating or the types of posts you're putting up on Instagram. But yeah, and then your welcome sequence can kind of just introduce that as like a wide net.
Mm-hmm. So do you help your clients normally do the customer research and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do it for them. So yeah, we do surveys, sexy, sexy surveys. So, but it's like we have like a little bit of an incentive from the client that could kind of pick like, hey, I'll raffle off a few like $50 Amazon gift cards or whatever. And we'll get some responses like 1,200 subscribers will reply, fill out the survey. And so it's really cool because you get to see these trends, you get to see what's coming up most often for people. Yeah, so we'll do it through surveys and then we kind of narrow all that down of like, what are the primary motivations for why people come looking for your blog? It's interesting because like you might be like, well, I feel like I know them, and you do, but it's really sweet to be able to hear it in their words.
Yeah. And then you can pick out that specific language and use it in your messaging moving forward. Oh, I get Absolutely. So nerdy about words.
I joked like all the parts are my favorite of the process, but I really love the research. I love like being able to pull those insights and it's cool to be able to present it back to my clients and be like, see how you play a role in people's lives. Like that's the gap that like, as a creator, you're like, I'm just pushing stuff out into the world. I hope it lands like, but this way, like you get, that's more of a dialogue. Like you get to hear back from the people who love you saying like one of the questions is like, why do you open my emails? What is it about my emails that you find interesting or helpful? And like so many times they're like, so-and-so's personality. Like, I just love how like fun you make this. And yeah. And a lot of stuff comes up from that I think really affirms the content creator to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a confidence booster as well as helpful information.
Absolutely. So you get like your tactical stuff, like this is what they're looking for, but this is how I make them feel. And so continuing to make them feel loved and connected or whatever. And so, yeah.
And then it kind of affirms that brand value for you. I think, okay, now we're getting a little off track, guys, but whatever. Like, I feel like oftentimes what I've run into speaking with entrepreneurs is they really struggle they can hone in on the brand value of excellence. They can hone in on the brand value of whatever, but it's harder for people to hone in on like the brand value of joy, for example, is one of my brand values, And I think that people forget that like the whole branding experience is also like how you make people feel when they come to your house, your virtual house.
Yeah. Like, I've done research on my own list, right? And like my own audience, which is always so fun to actually like get to do a bit of the process myself. But yeah, just like one really stood out to me the other day because I mean, email marketing is complex and people can definitely walk away feeling dumb. Like, because it's like, well, I don't know how to do that. And I don't know how to write this. And I don't know how this software works. And somebody's response was, you never make me feel like a burden. And just be like, oh. So like that extra care that we have in our client process to like, no, let's hop on a call. Let's discuss the question. I'll send you a Loom. Like that's part of how we actually deliver our work to continue to make sure that they feel that way.
Oh, I love that so much. So awesome. Okay. Let's get a little bit back to email marketing. Sure. Here, although I could totally geek out on you forever. But like, okay, so I love this idea of first step is customer research. Don't be afraid to do it. It's not boring. It's not scary. It's super helpful. It can be a confidence booster. Then we can write an email sequence that's like super clear and like makes sense for your brand and immediately gives people the information that they need to know, that they want to know, that are going to make them love you, Yeah. And then when it comes to nurturing your email list, I know that this is where you really thrive as well, is like, how do I keep sending emails to people? How do I keep nurturing this audience that I have now? Like, what are some of your tips when it comes to that stuff?
Well, where do I start?
Oh, I know. Okay. That was like a broad question.
So what I build out for my clients is like an automated nurture sequence so that once they finish the welcome sequence, they get like another 5 to 10 emails, of what else is going out to their list of subscribers. So this is where we can get a little bit more granular. So instead of being like, here's a wide brush of everything you can expect, it's like, no, really, here's a roundup of Mediterranean recipes, and that's one of the things that people said that they love. In the in the research. So like now we get to like break it out and those go out every week. So what's cool about that is that you're continuing to send traffic back to those popular posts. That's a great place to integrate like affiliate offers and things like that. So if you wanted to set up an automated sequence like that, you could do it. The other big one that I know everyone's probably like, tell me about newsletters and why is it so hard for me to send them? So newsletter, or like a weekly email, bi-weekly email, just with anything, the most important thing is consistency. And a lot of people get hung up on sending out those emails for a variety of reasons. And they're usually like, I'm like, you tell me that reason, I will tell you the answer. And then you have no more excuses. Like, go do the thing. So it's like, can I use an emoji? Like, where it's almost like we're afraid of, like, can I use an emoji? The subject line?
Wait. We need to pause. How do you feel about emojis in emails?
Subject lines? I love it. I'm here for it. I use GIFs, like personality over the top. It's a lot.
Oh my gosh. I had one of my girls who's been part of my audience for a long time the other day say, well, I don't know how I feel about that because I'm still against emojis in email. I was like, girl, you need to get over it. I'm like, you know me and you love me and you follow me. And I use like way too many emojis in everything. So sorry about you. But okay, we just had to clear that up real quick.
And part of that is just like your personality. Like this is one of the things I kind of teach about in my email list is like, you show up as Kinsey. Like you show up as the lively person that you are. And if people are not interested, they can go find a boring social media person to follow. Like, one of my values is just to make email marketing approachable and not so scary because I want you to get your message out there. Like it's not fair to you for somebody who's worked really hard on this content. It's not fair to your reader who said that they want this content for you to not be sending the email. Like, so these things like, how long should my email be? Or can I use an emoji? Or, like what color should the button be? I'm like, you're asking the wrong questions. Just send the dang email. So, and there are people that have those details on like, an emoji, do whatever. But like your list probably is not 1 million people, like, or 100,000. Like you can play around with those things. And just because if you're worrying about fitting into a box about like, this is what it looks like to send an email, like you're limiting yourself and you're making it harder to send out an email. So steps off soapbox.
No, I love it. And we need to hear it, and it's the same with social media posts. It's the same with emails. It's the same with everything. Like I look back at, almost 4 years ago when I started my business at this point, and like, I could cringe at so many things that I have done in my business over the years. That's like, oh, I would not do it that way anymore. Ooh, I love that graphic way back in the day, but like, I think it's pretty ugly now. Or like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I tried to give a talk on that when I didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. But I like did the shit and I'm here today. And like, yeah, I look back and cringe, but like, if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't be where I am right now. You know what I mean?
So in that, like, there's so much around email marketing mindset. Talk about starting a podcast, Kinsey. I'm like, I can just, have a whole season just about mindset because the other thing too is like that content is still going to be helpful. Whether it feels like it's at 100%, you're helping whoever's reading it in some direction, right? So let's talk about sending out newsletters, and then I'll tell you about how I've repurposed my older content, including the stuff that I cringe about. Okay. Don't let me forget.
I love it. Okay. Go.
When it comes to sending your newsletter, I'm like, I'm ready. Let's go. So when it comes to sending your newsletter, what's super helpful is to really think about, if you can, categorize your content into like 4 buckets, 3, 4, 5 buckets, doesn't really matter. So, and the idea being that these things all are part of your brand and we want to make sure people hear about them consistently. So if I only emailed about ConvertKit for like 6 months, like people be like, oh, she does ConvertKit and that's it. She only does the tech side. They wouldn't know that I also care about audience research. They wouldn't know that I care about strategy. They wouldn't hear any case studies from my clients and how that has impacted their business, right? So that being said, these themes could be things like, I'll give you the example of what mine have been. So one is the value of email marketing. Another is email content, what to actually send in emails. Another is the technical side of emails. Another is like a sales email, right? Because I need to remind people that I am a service provider. I'm not just here providing, like I don't have courses or anything for you to buy, but I am a service provider. So what I do is I just cycle through those. And so what that is so helpful. So I have like a content bank. So if I ever have an idea, like, oh, I could write an email about this or a blog post about this, I drop it into one of those buckets right away. So then when I'm like going to fill out my like content calendar, it's like, oh, I need something about email content. What's a question someone has asked me? And so that's where the ones like, how long should an email be? Great, let's talk about it. Now's my chance to write out that email and all my thoughts. Mm-hmm. So what that does is it provides that breadth of content over a consistent basis. So people don't like pigeonhole you, but you also make sure that things like, oh, I haven't talked about ConvertKit in 6 months. I'm an affiliate. I should send out an email about that. Like you're not forgetting about those important like partnerships and sales and things that also matter to your business. So questions about that, Kinsey?
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Like, okay, a few things popping up for me, right? And especially with the weekly emails, like we were chatting before we started recording, guys. I have fallen off the horse of emailing completely for like the past 3 months to my regular email list. I send out all these, and I think it's also because I've been upping the number of emails that I'm sending to my Feel Good Social Club members. Mm-hmm. And then like the email newslettery emails have kind of been to the side. And then I've been like, but one of my big hangups is that I do have the weekly podcast and somewhat I've been feeling like I have too many things to talk about with my email list, right? Because I don't always want to, like, I do want to send like a weekly email about the podcast, but then at the same time, sometimes I want to send other things. So what if people feel like they have too many things to talk about and they don't necessarily want to be emailing like multiple times a week and stuff? What would you say to that?
Yeah. So
I'm over here raising my hand.
No, such a great question. Because usually the opposite is true. People are like, I just save it all for one email a month. And I'm like, golly, isn't that stressful? Like I would say send more emails than just once a month. Also like, that's a lot to put on your readers. Like, I hope they're all reading this one email I sent. Like, no big deal.
Yeah. And it's like too much information all at once, right? Like I like to keep one topic to my emails for the most part.
Yeah. So if you think about it, you can also just like have like basically a podcast list. And so whatever day of the week those are going out, you can also include a link in your footer to say, hey, I just want your new content. And they click, or maybe not new content, maybe like, I just want your marketing content or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or I no longer want to get the weekly podcast updates. I just want to digest or something like that. So it allows them to update their preferences. So let me explain how I have mine set up and see if that helps. So not that this is like, this is not a trademark. You guys can take it and run with it. So basically what happens is my brand new emails all go out on Thursdays. So these are like following those kind of buckets, or if there's a campaign, like I'm part of a summit or I'm speaking at Tastemaker or something like that, like that's when I will send those out. And then anything that can be made evergreen goes into my nurture sequence, which is just like basically an endless list of newsletters that go out every Tuesday. So, and so by evergreen, I mean like it can go out any time of year. It's not talking about Tastemaker. Like that one's not going to be in there because it doesn't matter beyond this next couple of weeks. So that's the content where, yeah, I wouldn't mind people getting it every Tuesday. But what's cool is that like that content is still helpful. This kind of goes back to that topic of like, yeah, those emails I wrote in October 2019, total cringe. They're in my nurture sequence because even though it's not like amazing content, it's still super helpful. But what I've done is that so I'm in ConvertKit and I have I have 3 different templates that I use, like the bones of the email. And so at the bottom of my Tuesday emails, my nurture sequence, it says something like, do you just want new content? Click here. Or it has a link that says, do you want my Tuesday newsletters called the Best of Duett? I named it whatever I wanted to. And if people click that, they get added to the nurture sequence. If they say, I just want new content, they get removed from the nurture sequence, but they still get my Thursday emails. So it allowed them to set their preferences. They don't have to get 2 emails from me every week, but that same footer is in my Thursday emails. So if they start getting my Thursday emails and they're like, oh, I kind of miss her old stuff. Like they can click there and they can get re-added to the nurture sequence. Now, if I ever am running a campaign or anything, I can just pause the Tuesday emails, like Black Friday or around like Christmas and New Year's. I'm like, everybody should be out of office. I'm not sending you any emails. Like just turn them off. So that's another way that I do it in order to kind of like piece out what day of the week they're getting it. And then people can still choose their platform.
I love that. And I have not done a good job of like, I was trying to segment my list in the beginning when I kind of got it started. And like, and it was like kind of before I even knew what I was doing. Right. And then I kind of let it slide by the time that nowadays I feel like I actually probably could segment my list better like that. And so actually what you're saying is almost making me feel kind of excited to hop back on that horse maybe or something. But let's talk about that a little bit.
We worry about bothering people, right? And like, first of all, if your welcome sequence is solid or you're just really consistent about what you're writing about and people are unsubscribing, that's okay. They're not your people. Like, it's okay for them to leave. But for the people who are left, like, what do we do to make sure they have a really solid experience? So, so it can just be updating preferences. And it's interesting because it's segmenting, but it's not based on really like their interest or their skill level. It's based on their frequency. That's basically like the third tier of setting preferences. So,
yes. Oh my gosh, I love that too, because exactly. It's this whole thing of like, well, I have so much to talk about and I don't want to bother people. I also feel like I do have a very like varied audience, I would say, where it's like some people come on for branding, some people come on for marketing, a lot of different types of entrepreneurs at different levels and stages in their business and whatnot. And so I do think that the segmenting will help a lot. And there are always people. It's so funny when you said like, when you first said, why, like, let's talk about why people aren't sending emails in the first place, and you're talking about getting hung up on like the little nitty gritty details that don't really matter, and I was totally expecting you to be like, also people think that they're going to be bothered. And I have had someone respond to my emails before being like, hey, I really like your emails, but man, you send a lot of them.
I had that too, which is why I set up the preferences. And right. And part of me is like, why didn't you set that up before you just like annoyed people and they left? Like, yeah, I mean, that's called part of the learning and growing too. You're not going to have it all figured out with the first get-go. Yeah. And so those nurture emails, I think I have over a year's worth. Like they could just go out every Tuesday for a year and, and people can join them or not. But I also know that like, that's where my most valuable content is. Like I've already done the work. I've already collated it all into this one place. And so people are like, what's the best way to connect with you? I'm like, join my email list. Like, that's how I'm going to help you the most. And people, they're so sweet. They've told me like, I have all of them saved in one folder. I will never delete them. Like they find them so helpful. And then like, I can rest assured knowing that those nurture emails are talking about technical stuff. It's talking about my affiliates. It's leading them back to my website. It's telling them about old podcasts I was on. It's sharing old case studies. Like, I can rest assured at night knowing that like, I don't have to be producing that content like brand new all the time, following that pattern. Like, yeah, I've been part of a summit. So that took up like a month of my time, but I still know those sales emails are going out to people who've never seen them.
I love that so freaking much. And also, okay, so like basically your process for this like nurture sequence then that you have is it's just like one long list, a year's worth almost of weekly emails that you can continue adding to like the end of it, right? Every time that you create new content. And anytime someone signs up for it, they start at the beginning and then they'll get those weekly emails going through and you're always kind of adding to the end. Man, I think I'm probably going to have to do this for Feel Good Social. I love that.
Well, and it's great because you're just repurposing what you've already sent. Like, what I do with clients, like the people that I've worked, they've been blogging 5, 10, 15 years is we're really curating what that newsletter, like that nurture email sequence looks like. Because there are top themes that people want. We need to make sure they have them. But yeah, especially if you're a solopreneur, like this has been my strategy since 2019. I was doing email before I had a website. Like I had a landing page or let's see, no, I think I had a website, but I didn't have a blog. So like eventually I went back and made those blog posts. But a lot of my content is very educational. And so I write it knowing it's going to be a blog post. Purposing the heck out of stuff.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about that real quick. And I think that this is kind of a mindset question for sure, because that is what I hear a lot from my club members and just people on Instagram and stuff is like, they actually, because I take the angle of focusing on, writing captions and and kind of the social media stuff that then you can turn into emails or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of people have this hang up because they're like, well, I'm fine at writing captions now. Like, I feel like my personality comes through, but then when it comes to writing emails or my website copy, I just clam up. Like, I can't do it. Like, I think that there's something there where maybe they feel like they need to be professional or anything.
Oh my gosh, yes.
How do you help your clients get through that?
First of all, if you're thinking you need to sit down and write an email, to whom it may concern, that's
Right.
That's not where we're at. We're not.
Yeah.
Online business is way more casual than that, and part of it is just feeling comfortable in your own voice. One of the things you could do is just record yourself talking, into Otter. You can use Otter for free, otter.ai, and it'll just record it. And you can use that as a script. You can drop a video in an email. I have a friend who was like, I don't know, I can't write anything. She has chronic health issues, but she's like, I can record an audio message and drop in an email. It's like, yes, do what you need to do, especially as you're developing your voice and what you want to talk about. Part of it is just getting over the fear and just sending it. Those first few emails went to 45 people. She's like, okay, I'm practicing. It's okay to be a beginner. Just like I'm learning with learning how to exercise. You're like, this is awkward. I don't want to do yoga in public. And it's that's fine. But these emails, it's not really super public. It's 45 people and half of them are your friends. So, and they're going to be so stinking proud of you for putting yourself out there to begin with.
I love that.
Yeah. Not everyone's going to love everything you do or how much you do it. Certainly not as much as you, but that's where we want to take into account your listeners, your readers, what is helpful for them. And, that falls under branding too, keeping your content really on point with what they came looking for. And in your case, Kinsey, if you're pivoting your business, just making that really clear, hey guys, I'm going to be talking more about this. If you're interested, I hope you stick around, click here. Or if not, that's also okay. You can be human when you email your list. You're allowed to change your mind. I know a lot of people will get for lead generation, they'll have pop-ups of you'll get my, my weekly meal plan. And you're like, I haven't sent out a weekly meal plan in 5 years, but that's what I told them they'd get. It's well, then just tell them guys, that was too much work. I'm just going to send you recipes when they're done, when they're published, and just be okay with that.
Yeah.
You're not lying to them. You're just shifting. And that's all of online business is constantly pivoting.
Totally. And it's okay to it's okay to make mistakes. We need to get over ourselves when it comes to that, and sharing the messy middle, and actually makes you more human and gives other people permission to not be quote unquote perfect all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have any pep talks for when people unsubscribe from email lists? Because I know that this is a big thing for a lot of my people. And it's a lesson I had to learn too. I'm definitely way better with the unsubscribers now 4 years in, but especially when you're just starting out, I feel it feels so much more personal than getting unfollows on Instagram, because you can see who it is.
Yeah.
Stuff,
so don't do that. Don't even look. I remember back during my blog, I checked to see who unsubscribed once, and it was an ex-boyfriend. We'd just broken up a month before, and I was like, yep, this is why you just don't need to look into this stuff.
Yes.
Who was it? Great. I'm glad you're no longer on my email list. Why were you still there? So, but yeah, I've even done it with Duett, the random times that I click unsubscribes to see who it was. I'm like, oh, that's a person I know in real life who lives in my city. Ouch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of it is, here's an example. So I remember at the beginning of 2022, I don't know why it was last year. It was I had a big wave of people unsubscribing in January. And I'm just no, to hell with all these, clean out your inbox people. No, I want to stay there. I worked so hard for this. But if people are trying to clear out their subscribers or what all they're subscribed to in their inbox, that says nothing about you. And so it's also just kind of there's a season and a time and a place where they're going to benefit from your content the most. And if they're done benefiting from your content, it's okay to let them go. Or if they're not a good fit, it's okay to let them go. Same thing goes with cold subscribers. You're I don't want to remove them. You try and engage them and they're still not engaged. It's then we're not in a good place where I'm the best fit for you right now. And it's okay because you don't need to be paying for them. Even if it's you have a free platform, it's adding up to where it might not always be free. And that even goes to say so with double opt-in, having people confirm their email address before they're actually on your list. I have double opt-in set up. Do you know how many more subscribers I would have if I took that off and I just automatically subscribed every new subscriber? I'd have so many, but I'd also have a list of people who are far less engaged and really wanting to be there. So you just kind of have to like suck it up and don't look at those numbers because it'll break your heart. You're like how many people actually like just didn't click confirm? But it's like, do you want them on your list? I'd rather have a
already not engaged.
Yeah, I'd rather have a smaller quality list of people who are here for what I'm talking about and grow slow.
Yes, girl. And I'm the same way with social media followers. I'll like delete the followers who I'm like, what are you doing here? Like you just like follow me for no reason kind of thing. I'll like go in and delete people because it's like better to have that quality audience and grow more slowly. I totally agree. And also like, guys, just so that you know, like I have had people email me once again being like, you send way too many emails, unsubscribe, like in all caps kind of thing. You know, I've had like friends unsubscribe. I've had like, you know, I'll run the gamut, but I've also had people unsubscribe and then come and sign up again, you know, like it doesn't matter. So just like, I agree. Try not to look at those numbers for sure.
Like, one of my favorite online business owners, literally like probably the reason why I started a business or thought I could do it. I binged all of her free content for like years while I was building my blog and my digital playground. And one day I just like needed to unsubscribe. Like all of her content was for like beginning business owners. And I was like, I appreciate you so much. But now and that had nothing to do with her. If anything, I was like, I feel like I should give you some money. I was like, I have not bought anything from you. Like, you know, give her a tip and then leave, you know, like that content's not helpful for me. I don't need it showing up just because I'm loyal to her and super grateful for her. Doesn't mean I need to be on her list. So
exactly. Yeah. And like, they can find you other places too. Like you're probably still following her on Instagram or, you know, exactly. It's like, but the email list, exactly. It's one of those things. It can feel so personal, but it's still not. It's still just business. And usually it's exactly what you said. I loved your example of like people cleaning out their email list subscribes in January. You know, it's like often it's probably not even about you. It's probably about them. And like, they're like, you're one of many or something, you know?
Yes. Except for DSW, please stop emailing me.
Oh my God.
So many times.
It's like, I want to be on your list, but it's like, oh wait, it's like you unsubscribe, then you buy more shoes or something.
Yes. And I'm back on the list. And I'm like, I feel like we had this conversation. Please stop texting.
Are you buying from them because of the emails they're sending you?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So you just go there when you need.
No, I'm too frugal. I don't.
Yeah.
And my background's in marketing. I'm like, you can't sell me nothing that I don't need.
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh. Yes. Okay. I love that so much, lady. Oh my gosh. I could talk to you forever. Of course.
Just buckle down. We could do this for like 2 more hours.
Seriously. Is there any like last piece of advice or tip or anything that you want to share with us?
I guess what we didn't talk about, this is probably more for bloggers, would be the RSS feed. As far as like sending out regular content, you know, so different ways you can nurture your list, what we talked about, right? Like automations, you can send out a regular newsletter, but then also RSS feeds. And if you're like, Allie, I haven't heard about that since grade school. That's accurate. It came out in 1999. It stands for Really Simple Syndication, but basically it pulls a blog feed from your site, or it could be a podcast feed, and it will send out emails for you automatically based on new content that's published. So that'd be the only other thing, especially like if you are overwhelmed, or say like your podcast is your side hustle and you have a full-time job. You're like, but I need these emails to go out because it's important that people listen, especially people who've told me that they want to listen. Like, set up an RSS feed. Don't feel like you're slacking. If anything, like it's the communication that matters. And you can always build it out to be more personal in the future. Or someday you're going to be in Kinsey's position where you're like, I have so much content to share. Like, and it's okay that you're not there yet. Like, minimum viable product here. Like if you're publishing a new blog post, or if you're publishing a new podcast episode, make sure at least people know about it who've said they want to know about it.
I love that.
RSS feed is an easy way to do it. So I guess those are I could have as many closing remarks as you'll let me.
Oh, I know. Seriously. We're going to have you back on the show probably to talk about like for another hour. But yes. Oh, last little question that I did want to get to is favorite softwares. I know you said you use ConvertKit. I use ConvertKit for my email list. Do you have any other recommendations or any thoughts about that?
It would be not MailChimp if you can avoid it. I say that lovingly, like knowing that wonderful people work there, but it's a platform that just doesn't shift and change as much as content creators need it to. So, I mean, I love ConvertKit for a lot of reasons. It's quick. It's really easy to get around. You can segment your list super easily based on tags or what they engage with. Like if people click and you add a tag, it's super cool. I sell a couple products through ConvertKit's website, like through ConvertKit Commerce. It's super sweet. But if you were looking for a freer platform, so ConvertKit does have a free plan. You just don't get the automations. Or if you have fewer than 300 subscribers, you can actually get their automations for $15 a month. So I would say if that's the end goal, like just pay the $15 a month now and build it there. Otherwise, another platform would be MailerLite, Lite. So you can set up RSS feeds there. You can set up forms. You can add tags to subscribers. They call them groups, but you can segment your subscribers based on these groups. You get all of your automations. You get landing pages. Like it's super sweet. For me, I don't have the patience for pages to load. Say what you will about this little millennial brain that's like faster, must go faster. But if you don't mind that, like MailerLite is super slick. It's got a lot of really wonderful features. So but that's free up to like 1,000 subscribers, I think. Also, I think MailChimp has changed their scope of what's free, which is really putting a wrench in things for some people. So I would just go look at MailerLite, check out ConvertKit. You can get you can get access into ConvertKit for free for like 2 weeks if you want to check out all the features and go with what feels good to you. Because if you're like, Allie, ConvertKit is so boring. It's not doing what, you don't have to do what I do. The goal is that you send more emails. So find the platform that'll help you do that.
Yes. Okay. I love that. And I love that advice to go with what feels good to you, because this is the Feel Good Social Podcast.
I didn't even mean to do that, but
I know it happens all the time and I love it. So Allie, thank you so much for sharing with us. Can you tell everyone where they can connect with you, find out more about you? Because I know they'll want to do that.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, my website is duett.co, Duett.co. I have a resources page. We can get a bunch of freebies. I have a free monthly roundtable where we just talk about email marketing and all things nerdy for like an hour a month, the third Thursday at 3 p.m. Central. But then of course on Instagram, you can find me at Allea Grummert. It's spelled weird, but I'm sure Kinsey will link to it. But yeah, I'm not super active there, believe it or not. Like I probably need a little bit more social help. But yeah, like I said earlier, joining my email list is the best way to connect with me and learn from me. You can reply back to emails if you have any questions, and it'll be me who answers. I'll be there.
Yay. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. And we will link everything in the show notes, but thank you so much. This conversation was freaking awesome. And I know my people are going to love it. So thank you, honey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, there you have it. I hope that you truly enjoyed geeking out about email marketing and welcome sequences, nurture sequences, all those things as much as I did with Allie today. Please connect with her, get on her email list, give her a follow on Instagram. And if you did enjoy this episode, I would absolutely love it if you shared it to your Instagram stories, and make sure that you tag me at Feel Good Social on Instagram so that I can reshare it, give you a follow, and send you some love in the DMs over there. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.